he should have took the fight with me way back then, because if he had a chance to beat me, it would have been back then. He has no chance of beating me now, especially now. I'm getting all this confidence. You know, I'm stepping into my prime. You know, I'm able to deal with these bigger shows better. You know what I mean? I'm able to thrive in these shows. I'm able to, every time I fight, I'm always winning by a significant amount. You know what I mean? So I'm learning my craft better and better each and every single fight. I'm gaining more confidence every single fight, and like I said, I really want to go in there and hurt people. I'm not a boxer. I'm a warrior, and I go in there.
David Benavidez has launched a blistering attack on Canelo Alvarez, claiming the Mexican superstar is afraid to face him and that his refusal to make the fight happen reveals a complete lack of confidence in his own skills.
So the way I've seen him handle my presence is he's definitely scared of me. You know, if you have a fighter talking so much trash in front of you, why don't you make an example of him to the world? Beat me in the ring and make a whole lot of money. But Canelo Alvarez, as you can see from every time he fights a guy that's big with power, like Bivol, you know what I mean? And he's not able to suppress these fighters as much as he's able to suppress the little fighters. You know what I mean? So he sees a lot of things in me that he can't stop.
Benavidez has questioned whether Canelo ever truly wanted the fight, arguing that years of stalling tactics say more than any statement ever could. He's confident the bout never came together because deep down, he knows he'd have the upper hand when the bell rings.
Yeah, it's been really frustrating, to be honest with you. It's like, the way I could describe it to people, like, you're about to get this promotion at your job, and you know you're the best for the job and you could take over. And I've been there for the past 3 years, and honestly, this fight, it makes the sense, and, you know, pay-per-view, you know, as for the people, what they want to see as well. So, you know, it's good for the sport, but, you know, I can't say Canelo's 100% confident in himself because he would have took the fight already. You know what I mean? I'm 100% confident in myself. So, yeah, that's why this fight's not happening, you know, because he knows I'm going to beat his ass when I get in there.
Canelo sees things completely differently. He maintains the window for a Benavidez fight has closed, claiming the matchup would have made sense years ago, but no longer fits where his career stands today.
Benavidez. But he's a heavyweight. He's a heavyweight fighting in 175 or no, cruiserweight or something. But he's a heavyweight. It's not fair.
What a fight that would have been, maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Was it ever close?
When I turn Undisputed,
yeah, if
he will be a champion at that point, that's the correct time to do the fight. But he wasn't, and he was fighting in 168 at that point. But he wasn't a champion. So, but that was, I think, the perfect moment to do it.
Was it ever close or no?
Looking back, Benavidez is certain nothing real ever stood in the way of this fight happening. He's convinced it had everything needed to become a massive event, and the fact it never came together tells him Canelo simply didn't want it.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, the way I had to think about it, I thought that fight had already slipped away. You know, Canelo didn't show no signs of wanting to fight. That's definitely a fight that all the people wanted, and it is a fight that made sense on both parts. You know, sometimes when a fight isn't made, it's because the money isn't right or, you know, things are right. But, you know, everything was there. You know, the money was there. People wanted to see it. There would have been one of the greatest fights of all time. And because it didn't happen already, you know, I kind of knew that it wasn't really going to happen, or I felt like Canelo didn't want the fight to happen.
In Benavidez's mind, Canelo's refusal isn't just about money or timing. It runs deeper than that. He suspects personal issues played a role, and that belief still colors how he sees their entire rivalry.
So, I mean, that's another reason why I feel like Canelo hasn't fought me. Because of that.
Blast off.
Because then I feel like he just doesn't like me as a person, where he doesn't want to, it's not like he's putting me on, but he'll really be putting me on just by fighting me.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
That's honest.
You think it's like a Mexican thing?
I don't know what it is. It might be, but I don't know.
But that's been the excuse for it recently, that it's because you're Mexican, he doesn't want to.
But he said that he didn't want to fight another Mexican.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to do me dirty, and then he goes and fights another Mexican.
Yeah.
Andre Ward shares that view, believing Benavidez remains frustrated over being denied his biggest opportunity. Ward thinks Canelo purposely avoided a dangerous stylistic puzzle rather than embracing it, leaving one of boxing's most anticipated matchups stuck in limbo. For Ward, this rivalry stands as one of the sport's great unresolved questions.
The question now for David Benavidez is, what's next? And Canelo Alvarez was in the building supporting his stablemate, Jaime Munguia, and I guess Benavidez just had to do it. He had to mention Canelo. He feels a way and that Canelo hasn't fought him throughout the years. He's been calling for Canelo for many, many years. And it's hard to say that a man who's put in as many professional rounds as Canelo Alvarez is scared of another man. But I do think that Canelo Alvarez has made a very conscious decision throughout the years to avoid Benavidez from a stylistic standpoint. Now, if you call that a duck, you call that being scared, you know, that's your business. But strategically, he made that business decision to say, I don't need to be in the ring with this dude. And Benavidez feels a certain type of way about that. So I think he just had to get that off his chest after putting on the performance that he just put on with Ramirez. But that's not a fight that's going to happen.
No, it's not. It shouldn't happen.
Teddy Atlas disagrees completely. He doesn't think fear drove Canelo's decision at all. Atlas believes that at this point in Canelo's career, the fight simply doesn't make sense from a strategic standpoint, and that reality alone explains why it won't happen.
I would be concerned. That's a real concern. I would be concerned about that, but I would be even more concerned, much more concerned, if he even thought about then going down to chase Canelo to make the fight, if that was even possible. Canelo, I don't think, is looking for that fight. Not because he's afraid. I don't think he needs it right now at this stage in his career, at where he is, the age he is. He's getting a little longer in the tooth. I don't think it makes sense from that standpoint.
Paulie Malignaggi takes a harsher stance. He insists Canelo never seriously considered fighting Benavidez, arguing the endless delays always told the real story. For Malignaggi, the outcome only confirmed what he'd suspected all along, that this fight was never actually on Canelo's radar.
That was another thing. When I talk about, people don't like what I'm saying, but I'm always right. That was another thing. I said years ago Canelo was never going to fight Benavidez. He was making all the excuses in the book, and all his groupie fans were getting angry at me for saying that he was never going to fight him because he was making excuses and they were thinking he was going to fight him later or something like that. And I basically went out on a limb and said, I wasn't really going out on a limb. It was stating the obvious. Like, this guy is just taking you for a ride. He is never going to fight Benavidez. He's never going to fight Benavidez. And sure enough, as usual, I was right.
Despite everything, Roy Jones Jr. believes Benavidez should stop chasing Canelo and turn all his attention to Dimitri Bivol instead. He argues no other fight carries the same weight right now, and missing that chance would be a serious mistake for Benavidez's career.
Fighting you, forget about everybody else, go straight to Usyk. Don't play with nobody else, all right? Anything else can taint the Usyk fight. The Usyk fight is one of the biggest fights of this decade right now. Take it while it's hot. Don't play with him, and don't let him play with you. And that's my words to Dave Benavidez, because I know he listens to me. He looks up to me, thinks a lot of me. I'm going to tell him it's okay to say, no, Patai, you haven't proven yourself right now. I want somebody who's proven like I am. I want Usyk. That's what he should do, without a question.
Doug Fisher offers another angle, suggesting the tricky stylistic problems Benavidez presents might explain why the fight never got made. He thinks the matchup posed a tough tactical riddle, one Canelo had no interest in solving.
I point to styles, though. So Canelo looked at Kovalev and Bivol and thought, I can beat these guys. Yeah. But he looked at David Benavidez, and he's like, no, style-wise, this guy's all wrong. Yeah, right. It's too much. It's suffocating pressure, and it's the volume. And this kid has so much heart, such a chip on his shoulder. Also, even if I hurt him, he ain't going to go away.
Also, if he's going to lose, if he's going to lose to a Mexican or Mexican-American fighter, I think Canelo maybe had the thought, maybe at the end of my career.
Timothy Bradley goes even further, insisting Benavidez has earned his shot in every possible way. Bradley believes the fight's absence proves Canelo harbors serious doubts about handling the challenge, not that Benavidez fell short in any respect. For Bradley, that uncertainty remains the biggest roadblock to making boxing fans' dream fight a reality.
Benavidez has been worthy, and he's been working his butt off to be able to earn the fight, to be able to face you. However, you don't want to face him because I don't think Canelo believes that he can win.
Jose Benavidez Sr. believes his son now holds a clear edge over Canelo. While he respects Canelo's legendary status and incredible achievements, he argues David's youth, size, and relentless attacking style have tilted the scales in his favor. For Jose, those advantages would make David an exceptionally dangerous opponent for Canelo at this stage.
Look, man, I still think he does. However, he don't believe that. That's the reason why he's not stepping foot in the ring with him, man.
Robert Garcia agrees the dynamics have shifted toward Benavidez. He thinks the physical realities of the fight now create far bigger problems for Canelo than they would have earlier. Since Canelo's legacy is already secure, Garcia sees little reason for him to take that kind of risk, making the long-discussed bout more unlikely than ever.
Let's be realistic. Canelo's legs are not the same. You know, my respect to Canelo, he's done so much for boxing. It will be really hard to do what he has accomplished. At the end of the day, my respect, but David right now will send him to the hospital. To be honest, young, strong, motivated, hungry.
Even with those concerns, Roy Jones Jr. thinks a Canelo versus Benavidez fight would be far closer than most people expect. He believes the clash between Benavidez's youth and Canelo's experience creates genuine intrigue, with Canelo's hunger and focus likely deciding the outcome if they ever step in the ring together.
Nah. Why not?
Pass.
It has its window, and that window is closed. Two different weight classes. One's 200 pounds. It doesn't.
I think nowadays, Benavidez.
Why?
Something different now in weight, plus that speed. But Canelo doesn't have the speed anymore. I think maybe a few years back, it would have been different.
Okay,
what's different, right? Can't even get in the fight. Plus, Canelo was never even going to give Benavidez that chance to, you know, because Canelo accomplished everything. Canelo has accomplished more than any other Mexican. He doesn't need to prove nobody anything. So he's got pride also. Fuck them, they talk shit, never going to give him an opportunity. But now, yeah, fuck.
At the same time, Roy Jones Jr. believes Benavidez has actively chased this fight while recognizing the real difficulties it presents. He suggests the delay hasn't been Benavidez's fault, leaving the open question of whether Canelo will ever feel the timing is right for this showdown.
Don't know, it's a tough fight to call. You know, I mean, one of them is young and enthusiastic. The other is very experienced, and he's not such an old guy either, but he got a lot of fights behind him. So, you know, it depends on how socially involved both guys get. You know what I mean? If they, because it's a Mexican battle, how deep, how much can that bring out of Canelo? Will that bring the fire to Canelo that we want to see? Or will that make him get up because he defended his home country? What's going to happen? If he don't do that, then he won't beat Benavidez. But if that makes him get up to defend home, we'll see a good fight.
Timothy Bradley isn't buying it, blasting Canelo for dodging Benavidez despite years of fan demand. He argues the fight is more accessible now than it's ever been, making this the perfect moment to finally resolve one of boxing's most heated debates. For Bradley, there's no good excuse for letting it drag on any longer.
He's been asking for that for a long time. It ain't him that's been saying no. Canelo haven't really took it yet, but it's not David that said no. Canelo said he didn't want to fight another Mexican. David been chasing Canelo for years now. And it's a tough fight for him, tougher than people think. But, I mean, I think David definitely wants to fight. I just don't know. No, I think Canelo probably is waiting for the time, or waiting for the right time. But I know David wants to fight, and it's a good fight.
Expanding on that, Tim Bradley insists this showdown should have taken place long ago instead of staying trapped in endless debate. He believes legacy-defining fights need to be accepted no matter the risk, especially when a legitimate challenger has proven himself. For Bradley, ducking those moments only ensures one of boxing's biggest questions stays unanswered.
You ain't had the balls to get in there and fight no damn Benavidez. And I know, come on, Canelo fans, come on, Canelo fans, bring it, for real. No, you didn't have the balls to get in there and fight Benavidez, you know, but you're going to go to his fight, right? Come on, stop. And get in the ring with Benavidez. It's the perfect time now. He's already blown up to 200 and something pounds now. Now you bring him back down. Bring his ass back down to 168, Canelo, instead you want to fight him.
Adding his voice, Paulie Malignaggi considers Benavidez one of boxing's elite talents and thinks the Canelo chase went on far too long. He argues the patience ultimately went nowhere because the fight was never going to happen in the first place. For Malignaggi, Benavidez moving on finally brings closure to one of boxing's longest-running storylines.
Benavidez. He should have been fought Benavidez, man. I don't understand. I really don't well, I do understand it. Canelo can't swallow that pride, man, and he can't. So some guys out there, and it kind of reminds me of Tank, right? They won't be able to deal with themselves if they lose to this certain guy, right? And it always has to be with the same damn race. It's like, come on, like, don't you want to pass the torch, right? So it's like, Canelo, Benavidez is probably the next guy up, But you the old vet. Don't you want to pass it? It's just like when De La Hoya fought against Chavez, and Chavez Senior passed the torch to De La Hoya. Yeah. Like here, I'm that guy. But you know what? Let's go. I'm older now. You know what? You beat me. You the next one on the throne.
Shifting focus beyond Canelo, Robert Garcia believes Benavidez has already surpassed many of the opponents in his current weight class. He mentions several elite names still worth targeting, but ultimately sees Benavidez as someone capable of testing himself against cruiserweights or even heavyweights. For Garcia, those opportunities mark the next chapter of Benavidez's journey, not lingering business with Canelo.
I mean, listen, I think David is one of the best fighters in the whole sport.
Yeah, he is.
And I think they were trying to walk on eggshells, hoping that Canelo was going to give him a shot, but, in reality, he was never going to give him a shot. So they were trying to be a little bit respectful in the way they called him out. Like, I would have just dogged him because I knew he was, again, once you know he's not going to fight you anyway, just embarrass the guy, just keep dogging him and call him out for what he is, And, at this point now, okay, he's not a champion, it's whatever. Benavidez has moved on, everybody's moved on.
Building on that idea, Teddy Atlas believes Benavidez has always stood out by chasing the hardest fights available. He argues that willingness to face dangerous opponents defines true champions and gives Benavidez every chance to cement a lasting legacy. For Atlas, that fearless approach remains one of the Mexican star's defining qualities.
But fucking Benavidez is the real deal, man. That motherfucker is a monster, bro. I think he's got a couple fights that I would love him to do. Maybe at that same weight, or maybe go down to fight Bivol and Better Biff, and the other one is what that other cruiserweight that signed with Sufa.
Jai.
Pataya.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that fight could even be done now that he's with Sufa and what belts they're gonna fight for, whatever. I don't know. But those are 3 fights that I would like to see Benavidez take. But then after that, he's ready for the heavyweights, man. He's ready to fight Usyk.
Taking that confidence further, Jose Benavidez Sr. sees his son as one of boxing's most well-rounded fighters today. He believes David's combination of power, versatility, and constant improvement has pushed him to a level where he can compete with anyone across multiple weight classes. For Jose, that steady growth is why he's convinced David's greatest accomplishments are still to come.
I always loved him because of his attitude on top of that he'll fight anyone. Old school. He puts his money where his mouth is. He wanted to fight Canelo, he was ready to fight Canelo. He didn't get that, then, he goes up to light heavyweight. And he wins the title there. And then he goes up to cruiserweight. He'll take fights that, at least on paper, are risky fights that a lot of people wouldn't take. And he'll take them. He puts his money where his mouth is. He has the true confidence that you want in a champion. He believes in himself that he can beat anybody.
Looking at what's next, Andre Dirrell believes Benavidez's overall skill set already puts him among boxing's elite. Still, he points out one technical aspect of David's game that could become increasingly crucial against top-tier opposition. For Dirrell, sharpening that detail might prove just as important as Benavidez's natural power and relentless aggression.
What type of fighter?
Brother, right now,
that could...
There's no ingredient. There's nothing to beat the Mexican monster. What I seen, even me, I'm impressed. I'm like, what the fuck? How does he throw those fucking big punches like Golovkin shots? How did he drop that hand and hit you? And then he's gonna do it again, but he changed it down. Uppercuts, everything, bro. Footwork, defense, Right now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't see any danger for David Benavidez at 175 and at cruiserweight or I don't see anything. Right?
With the Canelo debate unlikely to reignite, attention now shifts to David Benavidez's future. Do you think Canelo made the right call, or did boxing lose out on one of its biggest potential fights? And who should Benavidez target next if the Canelo chapter is truly closed? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more boxing analysis.
Damn, this boy get cold. He is full of energy, man. But he's technically flawed. David has no feet whatsoever. Period, point blank, man. And don't need him at this point. And once he gets in there with someone who's willing to use their feet, then he's going to see where he needs to capitalize with his feet. So, man, I refuse to pick. This is one of the ones I want to be right with, because if I had to pick, and I feel like I want to tell you, but I'm not going to do it. Because all it takes is the right fight from either fighter, right? But David has a disadvantage. His feet, period. Point blank. You know, Jai can go for 12 rounds that way. He just got to do it the right way.